What's the prep been like for the last few days? Obviously, I think 5 off days since the last game. A lot of practice, I assume.
Yeah, just us doing things we do, practicing hard. A lot of competing. Just really diving into the prep part of it.
What do you know about this North Carolina team?
They're physical. They play Michigan State, so we got to watch that game too. It's a physical team. They're big, so just preparing for that physicality and their height.
Did y'all get together to watch that Michigan State game, or were you just watching on film like you normally would?
Nah, we didn't get together, but we all watched it like individually, whether it was at our house or if we were with a teammate. I know a couple of us, because it was on Thanksgiving, I believe, yeah. So a couple of us were together already, just watching it.
How much do you guys really just want to prove yourself against equal competition because of the Louisville game and the Michigan State game?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for us. We've been waiting for these type of games since we lost both of them. So for us, it's just going out there and knowing that we're one of those teams, like we're one of the higher teams, one of the better teams. So when we have these games, we have to compete as such. So we've been waiting for these.
Were you able to identify some of the things that went wrong in those 2 games and how you're going to change that tomorrow night?
Yeah, for sure. The coaches do a good job of really breaking down the film, meeting with us individually. So we all know what needs to be done. We all know what we slipped up on, and when we playing these high caliber teams, like the room for error is really slim. So we just have to really be keyed in and focused.
What were some of those slipping moments?
Transition defense. Just rebounding. Overall, just our physicality, I would say. We just have to, transfer that to the game because we're such a competitive group in practice. So now it's just a matter of, bringing it to the game.
Mark has kind of switched around some of the lineups in recent games. Is some of that helping? Are you guys figuring out different ways that different of you can play together?
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out eventually. So these different lineup changes helps. Coach Pope, he always says we're the deepest team in the country, so, we're going to have different lineups. So, just getting used to, the different faces out there. I definitely do think that, it's a good switch for, other teams. They're prepared for something completely different, and, the game comes and they see who we got out there. So, it's definitely keeps other teams on their heels as well.
What does North Carolina do differently on the floor compared to Louisville and Michigan State?
You said differently?
Yeah.
Both teams that we play, they all got their own brand of basketball. North Carolina is just really good at getting downhill, playing through their athletic bigs. Caleb Wilson, he draws a lot of fouls, so we have to guard legal. But that's really it. Everyone plays fast now. Everyone's physical, so that all those are similar. But every team is different. They're really looking to get to the free throw line.
Have you guys been able to kind of pinpoint the disconnect with the physicality between, because you're really pushing around kind of those 5 mid-majors, and it just hasn't worked as much in those other 2 games?
No, I think we just have to put it together for a full 40 minutes. We do, in the past 2 games that we've had, we've done it in spurts. So it's just a matter of putting it together for a full 40.
You mentioned that with Caleb, you got to guard legal with him. How difficult is that to kind of balance the guarding legal with the still wanting to play super physical?
Yeah, we just have to play clean, physical defense. A lot of teams around the country, they do it, so there's no reason why we can't do it. I feel like if that's how we play from the jump, it kind of sets the tone for the refs, and not even sets the tone for the game. That's how the game's going to be. So it's just us doing it for a full 40.
What else have y'all seen on Caleb Wilson in particular on film? Kind of what does he bring other than you having to be in that legal guarding position for him?
Just super high motor. He plays very physical, very aggressive. He's averaging 10 boards too, so we're gonna have to really hit and go get. So he's a good player, really good player.
How much have you seen Collin, come along, especially maybe compared to this point last season, when I think this was kind of the point where he really started to sit a lot more and watch?
Well, you said
just Collin, yeah.
Oh, okay. My fault, what was it?
Just his progression from,
Oh, yeah,
from maybe
yeah.
this time last year.
Yeah, no, that's that second year jump. You know, he's super comfortable shooting the letter off the ball. So, I mean, it's huge for us, especially since we haven't really been shooting it that well. You know, Collin's coming in being that consistent, you know, 3-point shooter. But you know, that's the biggest thing. You know, from your first and second year, it's just knowing like when you're gonna get, you know, certain shots, and you know, it's kind of that confidence aspect of it too. Like you just been here before, so I mean, he's been here now, and he knows what it is. So I mean, it definitely helps us a lot.
Can you see that when you're practicing with the player? Can you see that confidence kind of switch? Maybe I know he kind of looked a little lost. You know, even he said last season at practice at this time.
Yeah, you can see it from the jump. I mean, when we all come back in the summer, that's when you could really see like, you know, who's been working, who's really been diligent on, you know, the things they want to improve on. So, I mean, everyone on the team really has taken the jump. But Collins was definitely, you know, huge.
How difficult was it? You played Loyola and Tennessee Tech between Michigan State and now. I mean, how difficult was it to not look past?
Yeah, nah, it's really challenging. But you know, we always talk about we have to be where our feet are. The game that we're about to play is the most important game. So, I mean, we do want to, you know, after those games, we were eager to get back, you know, playing that high level competition. But you know, we got to handle what's like right in front of us.
Your free throw shooting's been great this year. You haven't been getting to the line as often as last year. Is there anything you can point to that? Is that something you're trying to address moving forward and getting more to the line?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I haven't been getting to the line as much. That's just me driving to the paint more. I feel like I got to get downhill, get to 2 feet more. And it just forced the issue, you know, forced the refs to make some calls. And then, I mean, my free throw's been good, so I just got to get there more.
You mentioned the Collin obviously shooting the ball great. Kind of basically everybody else struggling. How much of that not getting to the rim is the spacing just maybe not being there as much this early in the season?
Yeah, it's, you know, it's just we got a lot of new guys, so you know, it's just that chemistry piece in terms of, you know, playing our offense, and then on top of that, playing through, you know, the talent that we have. So. It's definitely, you know, an adjustment, you know, that we're going to have to, you know, figure out. But we have so many different lineups where, you know, we have a downhill lineup, we have a defense lineup, we have a shooting lineup. So it's a matter of, you know, playing them at the right time. And then, I mean, regardless who's on the court, you know, we have to find ways to be effective. So we practice that every single day, so we should know, regardless who's out there, how to be effective.
One guy who's not playing, Braden Hawthorne, but I know you guys get to see quite a bit of him, I'm sure, in practice. Just what have you seen from his game behind the scenes?
He's doing the typical like freshman loop for real. Like, you know, in the beginning, you know, you're kind of figuring it out. You know, it's probably your head's spinning. You know, a whole lot is getting thrown at you. But now he's real comfortable. I mean, we've seen him in practice every day. I even said the other day, I was like, bro, you figuring it out? He's like, yeah, like, he's starting to understand, like, the speed, the rhythm, you know, just everything. Like, not just playing, you got to think it. So, I mean, Braden really good. It's just a matter of when he gets on the court, you know, he's going to be really effective.
Can you see that even with him just out there against the air, like watching him before games in a row, just the way he shoots, his footwork, it just seems really impressive. Like, you know, it's going to come at some point.
Yeah, nah, he's super advanced, and he's young, too, so it's like all that is just natural. I feel like once he really like figures out, you know, his game and himself, you know, that's when he's really going to, you know, take that jump.
And how much strength-wise, especially going up against a very physical team and you guys, is a big part of it just getting stronger?
Yeah, literally. And even, you know, us guarding him every single day is going to make him way better. So I feel like he's definitely figuring it out. He's knowing that, you know, practice is where he's really going to get better and, you know, get comfortable for the game. So he's definitely been taking advantage of it.
Obviously, North Carolina, a very historic program. You guys, them, Duke, you know, the top of the top. Do you know anyone on the current team? And if not, do you have maybe a favorite player all time from UNC?
No, I don't know anyone from the current team. And then all time, I say Michael Jordan.
Good answer. I'm sure you got asked this before, but with UNC playing Michigan State and you guys playing Michigan State, what were you guys able to learn, and how much have you watched that game when they played each other?
Yeah, we watched it. We just saw how physical they were. That's really gonna be every team now. You know, everyone's being physical. Everyone's really crashing. the board. So that's something we got to really prepare for. And on top of that, the speed that they're playing with. And then they like getting to the free throw line a lot, so, we just got to play honest and, not foul.
Sounds like your game. So how excited are you to play against some guys that like to play the same way you do?
I'm excited, just to get back out there and, play one of those, top teams, especially on the home court too. So, yeah, I'm really excited.
What do you like seeing when Moreno and Cam are playing together? What do you like about those two working together, and how does it maybe help you a little bit differently than the other lineups?
Yeah, well, when they both out there, Malachi, he's going to defend the rim, at a high level. He's been really being that second defender for us. And then Cam, he's just going to go out there and do everything. He's going to shoot, he's going to crash, he's going to guard, super athletic. So, it kind of switches it up. And then, both of them together is just, it's a different look. And it's been good for us.
Talk about Malachi defending really well. He's got only 2 fouls in the season, but he's still leading in blocks and rebounds. Yeah, 2 fouls all season.
Fouls?
Yeah. But he's defending really well at the rim. Just how difficult is that for someone like him who's still very active but is able to not, put his hands over essentially when guys are coming at him?
Yeah, it's huge. He's 7 foot, so a lot of like big guys when they're 7 foot, they don't realize that they can just stand there and be a presence, but Mally does, so that's huge. And on top of that, when we could have someone like if we have blow bys, it forces us to be extra aggressive, knowing that Mally has our back to clean it up. So I mean that's definitely a good look for us when we could send guards to the paint and he's just going to erase it.
I know you said you were 100% before the season started, but you did miss about a month or so in the summer. So how are you feeling now that you've played, 5 or so games with that turf toe?
I'm feeling good. My toes not bothering me at all. Legs feeling really good. They were a little heavy, but now I feel really good. Just movement-wise, yeah.
Was there kind of a ramp-up process for you of getting back into your field when the games actually started?
Yeah, when the game starts, I feel like I'm 100%, but then it's when the game ends, that's when I really feel it. So, I was the whole time when I was getting back from injury, I kept on saying I'm gonna come back like I ain't miss a beat, like I'm gonna just be 100% perfect, but that wasn't the case. But now I'm feeling good.
I'm sure you probably talked about it earlier, but North Carolina very physical. Caleb likes to get downhill. 6'8", can jump, do all those things. How hard is it going to be to stay in front to make sure he doesn't get to the basket like he likes to?
Yeah.
But be playing physical, but not fouling at the same time.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but that's what I was saying earlier. We just got to set the tone, from the jump, as soon as the tip ball. We got to show that we're going to be physical so that the refs know, that's how this game going to be played. And on top of that, we just have to stay in front of him in between the rim. We've played guys like that who, they're really good at getting downhill, getting to the free throw line. So we just got to stay honest, but, be aggressive.
Obviously, the last 2 big games didn't go your guys' way, but this one's at home. How much of a factor do you think it will be, especially, playing at Louisville and hearing how loud their crowd was for that one? So how big do you think this one will be, especially with home court advantage?
Yeah, anytime we get to play these type of games on the home court, it's huge. I feel like it's definitely going to factor in to, just, like you said, the home court advantage. And then on top of that, no better place to play, these type of games. And we're really just excited to get back out there. It's another opportunity for us to, to change the script.
You mentioned setting the tone right from the jump. I know it's only been 2 games, but working through some different lineups with Mo out injured, how much has that been a benefit to the team? And I guess maybe how have you guys tried to account for the physicality that you're missing with him while he's out injured?
Yeah, it's next man up. We've had a couple hits to our lineup pretty much since the summer. So we've been used to different lineups and next man up mentality. So now it's just playing ultra aggressive, knowing that one of our defensive leaders are out. So Cam has been doing a good job of stepping in and doing the best he can, which has been really good. And on top of that, everyone's ready and eager to play. So no matter who's out there, no matter who's suiting up, they're gonna go out there and be effective.
And this is just the first big game of a very big month for you guys. How important is it to not only get a win tomorrow, but also maybe potentially stack some wins, snowball, and kind of find your groove?
Yeah, it's important, but we're looking at it one game at a time. That would be great, if we could start stacking, some momentum and stuff like that. But we're just gonna look at it one game at a time.
Y'all still talking about Walker's 3?
A little bit, even I myself, I watched the video, a couple times, just randomly because it's crazy. We was super excited for him. We know what he does in practice. He be lighting us up, but he got to finally do it in the game, so it was really cool.
How was your holiday break? What you do, what you eat, and then do you think maybe going away back home and then coming back is a good way to kind of reset, recharge before a very important month?
Yeah, Thanksgiving was good. Got to spend some time with a lot of teammates, friends. Ate some good food, so that was a good thing. But I wouldn't say it was tarnished because we lost, but we was all. I know everyone else was thinking the same thing. They're just ready to get back out there and hoop. So.
Collin talked about maybe in a time like this when you need a reset or to kind of get the season going again. You guys are looking inward rather than outward, just kind of turning to your teammates and coaches. I guess how much of a focus is that, and is that something that's difficult to do? Just when it feels like the sky might be falling at times, to just look inward and try and find the source of inspiration from your teammates.
Yeah, it's hard, but that's. I feel like those are characteristics that the best teams have. When things aren't going well, instead of listening to the outside noise and what everyone else is saying. Just huddle together. Where the only people that's gonna believe is the people that are out there on the court. So we just got to turn to each other. Believe in each other. We're with each other every single day. For pretty much most of the day. So we all we got. That's what we just gotta keep on saying, and we gotta like really believe it. When we go out there, play for each other, play for one another, and then kind of what Collin said, just look inward.
Good guys.
Collin, how was last week kind of navigating the post, last couple of weeks before that level of competition while also kind of knowing that North Carolina was kind of waiting for you?
Yeah, well, it's a tough part of preparation and an important part of preparation is only looking forward to the next game being the biggest game. And so I actually think we've done a good job as a team doing that and keeping our focus on what's ahead of us because, we're playing a bunch of Division I opponents. They're all good players, and so these last few games have been great for us in learning and getting better. So just so happens the next game is North Carolina that we're excited for. It's our next biggest game. So
what's the level of hunger knowing that the previous couple tests, bigger tests, haven't gone as planned, and knowing that you guys are still kind of looking to prove yourselves on the national stage against another big name opponent?
Yeah, for sure. I think we're hungry and excited for it. We're not shy about it. We're not shying away from North Carolina. We're coming in there ready to win, and that's I feel like we've prepared a lot for it, and we're doing everything we can to be ready for that game.
How are you preparing for the 9:30 tip?
Yeah, maybe going to bed later, sleeping in. No, I don't know. I think we've had later games. We prepare the same way, just I guess starting a little bit later. So we'll see how that goes, and it'll just be a late night for sure.
Just in terms of the scout itself with North Carolina, what have you seen from them? What do you there's certain things that you're keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I think they're actually very similar to us in the way we play, and they've got a lot of good players. And Caleb Wilson, he's been a problem for a lot of teams that they play, and so we're ready for him and what he brings. He brings a lot, and so we're excited for the matchups that's going to bring. And but they're a bunch of good players and a good team, and they've been competing. It's kind of fun. We got to watch Michigan State, who we had already play them, and so kind of gauge a lot from there and how we're going to play. So yeah, not to give too much away, but that's we're
Yeah, I guess.
we're
What did you learn from watching the Michigan State? Because there is a lot to take away from the things that you did well or didn't do well in that one too.
For sure, and I think in every game it's going to come down to, like, if they were neck and neck until the last 7 minutes, and that's just when North Carolina sort of broke. They kind of, we talk about Jenga being played, and that's kind of when they fell a little bit, and so I think it's just going to be a game of who can last the longest, who can play the longest, who can play all 40 minutes, and I think that's going to be a challenge the whole season, but especially this game on Tuesday.
Another historic program. Do you know anyone on the team, or do you have maybe a favorite player all time that maybe went to UNC?
In high school, I got to play a little bit with Seth Trimble. Unfortunately, he's dealing with an injury right now, so he's not playing. But I keep in touch with him. We text back and forth every once in a while. And I know Caleb a little bit just because when he was visiting here, I was there going to dinner and stuff with him, so I got to know him a little bit. So I know a few kids. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about his game. What's it going to take to maybe stop him? Because I think it's pretty obvious he's probably the best player.
Yeah, he's a dangerous downhill driver, and he's so long that creates a lot of problems. And so, it's just going to be who can step in and stop him before he gets to the hoop, which is a lot harder than maybe you can make it sound. But he's a good player, plays fast, is long. So, yeah.
Was there a time that you thought he was potentially going to be a future teammate of yours?
I'm not great at keeping up with the recruiting and everything that's going on with it, but I thought it was a great visit. He's a good kid, and we had a good time. But I don't know exactly. I haven't talked to him exactly what happened. But
how was your holiday break? What you do, and do you think all the guys maybe heading home for a couple days and then maybe coming back can kind of maybe guys refresh, recharge, refocus ahead of another big game?
Yeah, holidays were good. I went to see Wicked. I might drop a review on my Instagram or something here soon. But I think a few of the guys went. Well, we've had a decent amount of guys from Kentucky that I think got to go home with their families, and it's good for them. I had some family come in as well for Thanksgiving, and so that was sweet. And so I think a time like this is a great reset, especially Thanksgiving, focusing on what we're grateful for. There's a lot of things that go on in the basketball season, a lot of emotions, and so focusing on what we're grateful for and the things that we've been given this far, I think is good for us.
Collin, how much do you guys look forward to games like this because of the Louisville game and the Michigan State game to test yourself once again against kind of equal talent?
Yeah, top 25 games are always exciting, and just knowing it's going to be a battle and it's going to take everything that we have is exciting, and that's really what we live for. That's why we came to Kentucky. Is we're going to play teams like this all the time, and so I think it's going to test all of us and who we are and what we've been working on. So,
and this is just the first of many to end this month. How big would it be or how much do you guys talk about, putting down a statement, letting the whole country know after those first two games that, this little stretch, you guys could really make some noise?
For sure. I think having not won a top 25 game yet brings, I think, probably more hunger to us, and still playing with a chip on our shoulders that we have something to prove. Even if we win, we're still needing to prove something. I think that's every night when we're here wearing Kentucky, I think we're always having to prove. People are always testing us, coming in with something to prove, so we come in with that same mentality.
Otega was talking about the physicality of North Carolina, and Caleb Wilson likes to get to the free throw line. How do you guys kind of balance some of the being physical with them, but also not putting yourself in foul trouble?
Yeah, well, I think playing physical and playing legal can go together. I think there's a lot of room for physicality, and we talk about a championship chest all the time. We talk about it every day in practice, and matching his physicality with ours while still guarding legal is huge for us. We talk about that every day in guarding legal, and so that's I think a way to combat that.
I know it's only been 2 games, but maybe adjusting to playing without Mo, someone who's running so much physicality on both ends of the court. How do you feel like you guys have adapted to not having him in the lineup, and I guess how do you work through that on the fly with those changes?
Yeah, well, I think it's been good for our team in the sense of we've been playing with different lineups, experimenting with different ways we can go forward, and I think it's given us new ways to play, even when Mo's back. I guess a new look to our lineup and rotations, and so I think it's been. I think we've responded well and had great energy from guys stepping up. Like Cam has been great at that 4 spot, and so it's been fun experimenting with something new.
You were talking about maybe the idea of a reset a minute ago, just like using the things that break to clear your head, kind of come back refreshed and stuff. And earlier this season, Coach Pope talked about spending time with each of you guys individually in meetings or maybe in small meetings to get to know you guys better. I guess how much does that connection help in a moment like this where maybe everyone is trying to hit reset, pause, and kind of restart the season on the right note?
Yeah, well, when things are hard for us as a team, a big thing for us is we're trying to turn to each other instead of away to each other. We're not like I guess looking to outside sources to fix what we're doing or to clear our minds or to I guess to save us from what we're going through. Rather, we're looking to turn to each other for that, turn to each other to fix things, to find a reset, to find the solution to what's going on. And so I think that's a big emphasis for us, is turning to each other and leaning on each other for that.
Collin, were you able to watch the Michigan State versus North Carolina game? And if so, what did you kind of take away from that game?
Yeah, well, I think that game came down to the last 7 minutes of the game. It was pretty even for the first 33 minutes, and I think that's what it's going to come down to with North Carolina. With other teams, is just a breaking point and beating a team to that breaking point. I think Michigan State beat them to the breaking point, and so I think that's the challenge for us going forward with teams, is outlasting them in their energy.
Collin, how big does the rim feel to you right now?
How big does the rim feel? I feel very confident in shooting, and yeah, I feel very confident.
What has been kind of the secret to your confidence and being able to kind of sustain this over dating back to last season?
Yeah, I think it's a big thing for me, and I don't know if it's the same. I feel like it's probably the same for a lot of guys. Is comfortability, being out there, being comfortable. Because when you're comfortable, you're not thinking about anything else other than what you're doing and the things that you've worked on. And I think that was a big. When struggles arise, that's usually what's happening. Is we're thinking about too many things, too many other things. And so, right now, when I get the ball, I'm not thinking about turning the ball over. I'm not thinking about what coach is saying. I'm not thinking about what the other players are saying. I'm comfortable, and I'm just thinking about what I've done and the muscle memory that I've worked to get. And so I think that's been a big thing for me, is comfortability.
A lot of your teammates have talked about, like, when they see you open in the corner, they can basically start running down the other way. This green light, I think Otega said it last week. Just what's it like to have their confidence in you? Does that kind of add to your level of, like, hey, if they believe in me, of course I can make it?
No, for sure, and that's a big thing as a team. It's hard for a team to function when there's no trust as a team, and that's a real thing as well, is earning each other's trust. And so I think that we've all done a lot of things to earn each other's trust in different areas of the game, and that's a continued challenge for a team, is continuing to gain trust in all different areas, and that's a continual building block for all teams. And so knowing that I have my team's trust with the ball in my hands, shooting the ball is great, and just leads to another thing that you don't have to think about. You don't have to think about my teammates being upset with me shooting a shot or thinking whether it's going to go in or not. And so it's just another thing you don't have to think about.
Is that something that kind of held you up last season too, when times were tough? Because it seemed like Pope tried to kind of cultivate this atmosphere where there was kind of a collective confidence in a lot of guys as shooters, even if they weren't necessarily making shots in that moment.
Yeah, well, we have created a culture in our team of a next shot mentality. Is we're no matter what's happened the last 10 shots, is we're shooting the next one, and that is I think an identity of the team that we have built, and I think that's a trust thing, that the guy that has missed 10 in a row, that we're still pushing him to shoot the next one, because really we need it. We need guys hitting shots. So.
What obviously he hasn't played this season, might not play this season, but what have you seen from Braden Hawthorne behind the scenes in practice?
Braden Hawthorne has been probably the life of the team. His energy is the same every day. And I know that's something that people can just say, but it really is true. His energy is great for our team, and it really brings light, because there's a lot of outside things that affect everybody as the season goes on, and having someone like that who can bring everybody together has a lot of power. Even if he's not playing, even if BBN isn't watching him play, he has a lot of power. Also, he's been killing it on the scout team. He's played a lot. Like this week, he's been Caleb Wilson for us, and Braden's a great player, and so having him on the scout team to help us get ready for these games coming up has been awesome. Energy aside, he's been great for our team.
How difficult is it to keep that positive energy? I mean, because you had kind of had a stretch last season where, I mean, every situation is different, but you weren't playing as much, and I imagine it's difficult to kind of stay up behind the scenes.
No, for sure. And it's just another thing, like human nature is focusing on me, what's going on, what's going wrong for me, why is coach not playing me, and that's a constant battle that I think Braden wins a lot of the time. It's focusing on us, on a collective we instead of me, and so I think he's a perfect example for us as a team of someone who is thinking outside of themselves.
Is he a pretty good Braden Hawthorne?
He's a great Braden Hawthorne.
Is he good Caleb Wilson?
Oh,
that's what I guess.
Yes, he's definitely a great Braden Hawthorne, but yes, he's been great for us in just because he's so long. Caleb Wilson's very long and athletic, and so Braden brings that to the table that we probably wouldn't have otherwise. Someone who can give us that look, and so he's helped us a lot to prepare.
I feel like you in particular, know patience when it comes to basketball as well as anybody who's stepping away from the game as long as you did. Like, do you kind of have a unique kind of messaging to Braden as he kind of deals with his own patience of when the end journey is going to come for him? For sure. I mean, it's so hard because there is so many emotions that go into it, into patience, because we just want to be right now. And just what I've told him a lot is maybe in some drills or whatever, if he's frustrated that maybe he's not getting as many reps, is like just when you do get the reps, or when they put you in a part of the drill where maybe you're not wanting to be in, is how can you focus on getting better at that one little thing, because that's really what it takes. Like last year, when I was first playing a good amount of minutes, was because I could add something to the defensive end. I was coming in to defend them, maybe wasn't getting as many shots or opportunity on offense as I would have wanted, but it was getting me on the floor, and so
I think what I've told him is just focus on getting better at the things that you can control, and it's so hard when you're in it though. It's easier to say it rather than to actually be in that situation. So, but he's great at learning and listening. He's always humble to learning for sure.
Anything else?